There had been a lot of debates in the late 20th century and early 2000s about creation and evolution, and about whether the creation story in Genesis is literal or not. However, in the past few years, especially in the late 2010s, the conversation seemed to have shifted almost entirely into more philosophical and cultural territories, as if people are finding the creation evolution debate less and less relevant to the truth of Christianity. It is the case that the Bible was never a scientific textbook as much as it is the case that there are scientific facts in it. God never meant for the Bible to be a guide for empirical science more than he meant it to be a guide for a spiritual life. And when we look at the cultural context of the first two chapters of Genesis, we find that the authors were less concerned about relating natural facts than they were concerned about communicating a spiritual meaning. Some of the Near Eastern creation accounts that are contemporaries of Genesis are the Babylonian Enuma Elish and the Akkadian Eterhasis epic, and multiple Egyptian creation accounts. In the Enuma Elish, the world was created from the body of Tiamat, a primordial goddess slain in divine conflict, while human beings were fashioned from the blood of a rebel god, specifically to serve as laborers for the other gods. The Atrahasis epic similarly describes human beings as created from clay mixed with the flesh and blood of a slain god, brought into existence specifically to relieve lesser gods of their burdensome labor. The Egyptian accounts, however, vary in many ways, but generally say that humans emerged from the bodily fluids of the gods without any deliberate purpose to their existence. As we can see, there is a recurring theme across all these stories that implies to their readers that human beings were created out of chaotic environments, from murdered gods or their fluids, either to serve as a cosmic slave or, worse, to no purpose at all. The biblical creation story was a direct response to all these pagan narratives. That's why we call it a polemic, because it's a direct refutation of these other stories. The author of Genesis tells us a God that transcends time, space, and matter created all things orderly. Different things were created according to their days, and environments were created before their creatures. And the Genesis author says, God created man in his own image in order for him to have dominion over the rest of his creatures. While the surrounding pagan cultures claimed human beings were either accidental or created to be oppressed by the gods, the biblical authors believed we were created in the likeness of God himself, with an inherent dignity and purpose. Jordan Peterson, a secular intellectual, was said to have paused after reading Genesis 1:26 during a lecture before making the remark, "This is the basis of our entire civilization."